Good afternoon, everyone who's here. I'm really glad to be here with you all. And the title of my talk is How PyLadies Brazil Became the Biggest PyLadies Chapter of the World. And a little bit about me. Hi, I'm Débora. I am a master's student in innovation with educational technologies here in Brazil. So I've been developing a research about the development of an educational software to help deaf children to have their literacy process improved in a bilingual perspective, considering that here in Brazil, they have our Brazilian Sign Language, and they also have Portuguese, written Portuguese as a second language. I'm a high school English teacher at my state public education network, one of PyLadies Brazil co-founders, and I'm also part of the PyLadies Global Entering group, which is a group who is trying to picture what the future of PyLadies Global is going to be like, and we are working on that for a while. And also, I was a Community Service Award winner last year from the PSF, and you can find me on Twitter. My user is there, but mostly I tweet in Portuguese, so if you don't mind. And well, you may be asking yourselves about the title of this talk, how PyLadies Brazil became the biggest PyLadies chapter of the world. What does it really mean? And well, if there is anyone here that hasn't heard about PyLadies before, we are an international mentorship group with a focus on helping more women to become active participants and leaders in the Python open source community. So our mission is to promote, educate, and advance a diverse Python community. And we do that through outreach, education, conferences, events, and so on. And we also aim to provide this friendly support, this friendly network for women as a bridge to the larger Python world. So that's pretty much the definition of PyLadies. And well, if you go to pyladies.com/locations, you're going to see this beautiful map. And well, it portrays how we are scattered all around the world. We have PyLadies all over. And it's really great to be part of that. But if you see that map, you can see that there are lots of chapters in Brazil. But there are some things that we should consider. Like Brazil is a huge country, the 5th largest country in the world. And well, as a huge country, we must know how to encourage people that live especially far from the capitals, far from the city centers, to brace themselves and be part of the community and create new chapters and create new Python user groups. So the Python word is spread all over. So the experience that we've been having here in Brazil, it shows how the growth of Python user groups in general all over Brazil, it was kind of responsible to create a safe and a receptive environment, to create the beautiful community that we see in our country nowadays. And in this little map, it's just a cut of the big one. You can see all the PyLadies, the Brazilian PyLadies chapters. It's a lot. Well, we have about 30 active PyLadies chapters in Brazil. Registered, we have more. So we are doing a task force to figure out who's active, who's not active. And this map doesn't show only the work that has been done since the birth of Brazil, but there was a lot of work that has been done before us, before the creation of PyLadies Brazil. And I want to talk about that work because it was fundamental to have what we have now. Well, this feeling, this thought of creating this environment, this safe environment for the people who attend events in the Brazilian Python community, it was started to be built a long time ago, way before PyLadies Brazil started. So together with the will of sharing knowledge, of working on new projects, we had the creation of Python Brazil Association. In Portuguese, we call it a PB. And well, this association is a non-profit entity that is responsible for legal and accounting part for the organizers of national and regional events. So in 2007, this group of people got together, got united with this vision of helping to spread the Python world around Brazil, and also to try to pave the way for us. And this is really a milestone because, well, I have a question for you now. Have you ever tried to organize a medium or a large event for like 100 people, 500 people, 800 people? Well, it's pretty much like this GIF. So in order to prevent people from going crazy with accounting and legal contract issues, a PB was created, and well, it started to solve loads of problems for us. Of course, it's not perfect, but it was a great association that was created pre-PyLadies, and it still has an impact on how we do things. And well, even before PyLadies Brazil creation, people were talking about diversity and difference. So Brazil is a huge country, and it's one with loads of socioeconomic disparities. But in general, if you're in the Python Brazil community, you're going to hear from us this feeling that we want to have this impact. We want to take action, and you can only do that by talking about difference. Well, I think this picture is real pretty, and it's written in Portuguese there, but the translation to English is there, which means that our differences make the difference. And well, us human beings, we differ in so many ways, but we cannot focus only on gender, because we don't differ only on that, but we refer on gender, race, ethnicity, religion, gender identity, sexuality, nationality, we are from different countries, socioeconomic status, neurodiversity, physical ability, and much, much more. So how do we get all these different human beings, all these people, to be in the same place and feel welcome and in a way feel safe? How do we do that? And there is a great talk about anti-patterns for diversity, which Naomi Cedar gave like 5 years ago, and it is still so current. We are still talking about the same things, and she shows anti-patterns being our ways of doing things that can be established. They can be considered good, but they are not helpful for what they are supposed to do. So you should check out this talk, because it really portrays how it differs in so many ways, and what should we do, what are we doing that is not working like properly, and how we need to reflect about that. And coming back to Brazil now, even before PyLadies, one more time before PyLadies, we had a lot of effort that was done, and one of these efforts was the Code of Conduct effort, which was written collectively. So there was a concern about this topic, about building the safe environment before PyLadies in Brazil. And we also have what I like to call like the pioneers. So before the creation of PyLadies here in Brazil, we had some special women who paved the way for us. Women that were there in the organization of events, in the front line, doing so much for us. So we have Tatiana, Tania, Rafaela, and they were literally paving the way for us. They've been doing so much work before us, and they should be remembered for that. And it's impossible to think about PyLadies Brazil disassociated with the figure of Fernando. So Fernando Masanori, it's like our official ambassador. And the story of how he is related to PyLadies Brazil is pretty interesting, because in 2013, some friends, they came to PyCon US, and then they found out about PyLadies. And Fernando was one of these people, and he was like, oh my God, this is great, right? And then he started to encourage girls from the Python community, his students, because he is a professor, to create their own PyLadies chapters. And he was very necessary. Well, 1 year later, in 2013, we had our PyLadies Brazil launching event in Natal, which is from, well, we had more than 100 participants. And it's funny to think what happened 6 years ago, because when we were organizing this event, people would say that we wouldn't even have like 20 women interested. And we got in around 100 women in the event. So it was a great launching, a great start for us. And this is the staff team for the PyLadies Brazil launching event. And these people in this picture, they were responsible for creating this environment to all the women who were there. So when we look back and we think of all the work that has been done, it really comes back to people who are in the front line, which is great. But PyLadies Brazil was the first PyLadies chapter in Latin America. But it's not only that. We also had the first Jenga Girls workshop in Latin America as well. So Brazil is full of firsts, right? So if there is anyone here who doesn't know what Jenga Girls is a one-day workshop in which you can deploy a Jenga web application. It's a blog. They have a tutorial. It's very well written, and it's pretty famous worldwide. And just like PyLadies, we have Jenga Girls workshops all over. So you can see in this map how many workshops we have done so far. And in Brazil, we also have loads of Jenga Girls workshops. And this impacts a lot. It impacts lives. And we have lots of PyLadies chapters that are involved in the organization of Jenga Girls as well. So we have stories of people in our local chapters, in our local PyLadies chapters, who were studying something else, and they went to a Jenga Girls workshop, learned how to code, and the Jenga Girls workshop was a turning point in the life of these women. So we have women who transitioned careers, went to programming, to software development after a Jenga Girls tutorial. So it's amazing to see how it impacts these lives. And another thing that I'm really proud of, thinking about what PyLadies Brazil has done, was the creation of the PyLadies Brazil conference. This image that you can see is the same that I'm wearing in my t-shirt, and it's very symbolic because this conference, we thought about this conference in 2017, and then we had the first one in 2018. And the PyLadies Brazil conference was thought to be like prior our PyCon Brazil. So we had the first one in 2018. And this event is specifically, I was the chair of this event. So we thought about this event for 200 women. And we only had women attending, women organizing, women speaking in this event. And thanks to PB and also to the PSF who provided fund for us, we could provide meals and we could provide swag and a comfortable venue and everything for these women. So it really hits a soft spot when I talk about the PyLadies Brazil conference. And we also have a second edition last year in 2019. It was in São Paulo, the same state that we had PyCon Brazil last year. And it is extremely, like, it's rewarding, it's fulfilling to see the things that are started, and they have a continuation. The work keeps being done. And it's amazing to see that. And one of the facts that really paves the way for us is the fact, well, Brazil is a huge country. I think this is the third time I'm saying this, But because we are a huge country, we have this culture of having regional events. So we have PyCon Amazonia in the north of Brazil. We have PyCon Northeast in the northeast of Brazil, PyCon South, PyCon Southeast, and PyCon Cerrado, which is in Midwest here in Brazil. And we also have our national conference. And one thing that I would like to point out is the fact that the PyLadies are in the organizations of lots of these events. And knowing that there is this space to be in the organization, to have a voice, and to know that we can occupy these spaces. This is one of the main things that has been changing the scenario in our regional conferences and also in our national conferences. And yeah, well, it's just like Rihanna says, it's like work, 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 work. And we have so many people who are working in order to provide this environment, in order to pay attention to the necessities. So yeah, it's loads of works. And one of the main things about PyLadies that really hits me in a soft spot is the fact that we have a feeling of trust and being worthy to be there. For me especially, I don't work with programming. And even though I don't work with programming, it doesn't invalidate what I do for the community. And in our first PyLadies event, over 6 years ago, the girls, they were trying to recruit women who knew Python to be coaches in this first event. And well, back then I was doing computer networking, a technical course in computer networking. And well, I knew Python. I learned Python in that course. And then why wouldn't I help? Then I applied to be a coach, and then everything started. And this very famous saying from Brad Cannon, "Come for the language, stay for the community," is one of the biggest truths in the Python community, in my point of view. Well, you can go to the community most of the times for the language, for something technical that the community has to offer us. Then when we get to know the community, we see beyond that. We make friends, really dear friends. And well, thinking about Brazil and our regional conferences and our national conferences, with the community, we make those friends that we see once a year. We have those friends that we know that in October, we are going to be very anxious to see each other because it's the time that we can get together in our national conference. So it's really heartwarming to be part of this community. And Mariara, she brings us this tweet, and she says that Python is the largest community-run programming language on the planet, which is both a blessing and a curse. Because because of that, we can keep the language freely available. And well, since the language is freely available, we can see lots of resources and materials and tutorials that are also free. But on the other hand, all of this rely mostly on efforts by volunteers. So I just want to say thank you for all the organizers of PyCon Africa, of all the Python user groups, our conference organizers. Well, I'm really thankful for all your job, and you're doing a great one. Thank you very, very much. And we started to talk about community, but what is community? What do you see as a community? Well, I went to Google and I Googled the definition of community, and this is what Google told me. It tells me that a community is a group of people that are living in the same place or having a particular characteristic in common. But, well, I would go more to the second definition. And the second definition, we have a feeling of fellowship with others. And it comes as a result of sharing common attitudes interests, and goals. And I think that this definition really portrays what the Python community is about, what PyLadies is about. And if you think about the broader Python community, it has lots of different channels for you to get in. We have the Python user groups. We have the local conferences. We have PyLadies. We have, here in Brazil, we have AfroPython. We have so many channels. But, well, personally, none of them as important as PyLadies is for me. Well, in this picture, you can see me and the other 3 PyLadies Brazil co-founders, Briella, Clara, and Kati. And, well, I really love this picture because it shows us together one more time. And PyLadies Brazil was created in 2014. And there was a space and time where Gabriela traveled to France to study. Clara needed to take some time away from the communities. And Kati traveled to Germany. And one of the most beautiful things about PyLadies is that the group doesn't die because the co-founders are not there anymore. So in our local chapter in Natal, I kept the chapter going. And it happened the same thing all over Brazil. So the organicity of PyLadies is one of the most beautiful things, to have this horizontally, to know that anyone can step up and help. You don't see that in all organizations. So this picture is our 4th year anniversary, and it was really funny to see that because we got all the co-founders reunited once more. And, well, thinking about community and diversity and everything that comes with it, one thing that we should be aware is that, well, if we are in a community and we share the same vision and we have interests and we have the same goals, we need to be aware that maybe it can cause issues and we can struggle maybe to share the same vision of what's good. So it is extremely important to keep this contact with people in the community and ask them, do the members of your community feel like their perspective or what's good has a representation? Is it being represented? Do they feel like they're being heard? Do they feel like they have a voice? Do they feel like they belong? Do they feel welcome in the same space that the community is? So I bring this quote from Marlene, and in her PyCon UK talk, she says that diversity, inclusion, is a sense of belonging. It's a sense of knowing that you belong there, independent of your background, independent of what you do for a living. If you feel like you belong, you do. And, well, I had to do some digging to find out who were the PyLadies chapters in Brazil. So as you could see in the map, we had chapters all over the place. In this list, I think you have almost 40 of them. Some of them are inactive. And as I said previously, we are trying to do like this task force to get in touch with people. But it's really a sense of belonging that being part of PyLadies Brazil brings to us. And when we look back and go back to 6 years ago in our first event, when people would tell us that we wouldn't get women to participate, and I'll tell you, it was a surprise for us. It was really a surprise for us to know that in our city we had 100 women who were interested in programming. It was really a milestone for us. And when we go back, and especially in the experience I had with this first event, the feeling that I have, it's really the feeling of being welcome and being worthy. It's just like bringing Thor's hammer. It's really like being worthy of being part of that. And for the first event that we had in Brazil, 6 years ago, it was thought to be a morning of talks and the morning with a flask tutorial. So the girls who were in the organization, they recruited these coaches, and I was included. They provided us training to feel safe and comfortable and have confidence to help these other women who were going to be attending the event to do the class tutorial. And in the morning, we had some talks. And when I look back, that's me giving a talk about how to use Python. And well, when I did that, I didn't even know what I was going to say, because in the morning we had lots of amazing women giving talks. We had people from the university. We had professors from the university. We had developers from well-known companies. So when the girls invited me to give this talk on how to use Python, why to use Python, I felt like they trusted me, because, well, I come from a different background. I majored English at the university, and they knew it. And even though they knew it, they gave me the opportunity to give this talk, and it was a milestone for me. It was the first time that I ever have spoken about Python. So knowing that there were people trusting me, they felt like I was able, I could do that. It is heartwarming, and it feels like you can do anything. So we are really changing the face of our conferences here in Brazil. So, well, and I want to tell you why it's so important to have initiatives like PyLadies. Because when we look back to the pictures in our national conferences, or even in our regional conferences, we can see the development, and we can see it is explicit, the work that has been done in this moment. So, well, I'll show you this picture. This picture is from our PyCon Brazil in 2016. These are the pilots, the picture with all the women in the event. That was in 2017. And this one was in 2018. And this one is really special for me because I was in the organization of this specific PyCon Brazil. And that was from last year, from PyCon Brazil in 2019. And, well, it's clear. They don't lie. It shows us development. It shows us the difference. And you may be asking yourselves, how was that possible? So one of the main things that helped us to totally change this scenario was the creation of our crowdfunding campaigns. So since 2016, we started to make crowdfunding campaigns to try to bring the ladies who live like the farthest from the city that PyCon Brazil was going to be. They had like talks accepted, but sometimes they needed a financial aid to be part of the event. So you can see how it's another sign of how the broader Python community in Brazil supports PyLadies. So we had these crowdfunding campaigns, and they were all very successful. This is the total picture of PyCon Brazil in 2018. And the people in the picture, they are doing the sign of Python in sign language. And, well, with time, the Brazilian Python community has been thinking in a lot of different strategies and a lot of different aspects of what is being diverse and what is being inclusive. And going back to the context that I'm inserted with, just for you to get a picture, in 2017, we had 98 women registered out of 572. We had 40% of women speakers in PyCon Brazil. So we had 17 activities that were offered by women. If we go to 2018, well, we have an improvement of 100. We go from 98 registered women to 153. We had a smaller number in the percentage of women speaking, but if you see the number of talks by women, it grew. And then from last year, PyCon Brazil 2019, we still tried to keep up the number of women that registered for the event, and we had the largest percentage of women speaking in the event. We had 26 talks by women out of 60, if I'm not mistaken, which is like huge. And we are not talking in these numbers about tutorials and the keynote speakers. These are just the talks in the main conference. So every year we have a different milestone. Every year is a conquer to have that. And it happens mostly because of this effort of both PyLadies and the Brazilian Python community together. And another thing that happens during PyCon Brazil and is our assembly, the moment that we get together to discuss what is going to be done for next year. And because of the crowdfunding campaign, we can get together at PyCon Brazil at this assembly, ladies from all the 5 regions of Brazil, and we can have different perspectives. We can think about a strategic planning for the next year's crowdfunding campaign. How can we work? How can we get the work smoother? Because it's a huge work. And well, this is a picture of last year's our PyLadies annual meeting. So we can see people from all over who have a lot to say, to contribute. And it's really a moment for us and from us, a moment that we can learn with the experience of people from different chapters, that we can hear the things that worked, the things that didn't work, what did we learn during the year, and what can we do to improve and do better for the next year. And well, the last thing that I want to show you that PyLadies Brazil has been doing this year that really portrays the sense of belonging is it's like a series, and it's called Papo Entre PyLadies. And Papo Entre PyLadies is a project that was developed by PyLadies Brazil in order to promote the exchange of knowledge between PyLadies from different chapters in Brazil. So since we have this huge number of chapters, sometimes we don't know everyone. We don't know what the other chapters are doing. And this series of interviews, they started to try to fill this gap. And it is, as I said, interviews involving 2 different chapters and 1 interviewee. So in the first part, we had ladies from 2 chapters interviewing 2 other ladies from 1 chapter. So in the first part, we have this interview with stories and curiosities about the interviewed chapter. And in the second one, we have a lecture on a topic from the interview chapter knowledge area. So we created this model, and it's been so wonderful to see, to know what other chapters are doing, to learn from them. Well, especially in this time that we cannot get physically together, Papo Entre PyLadies is a project that really brings us together. And well, we don't see PyLadies as a different community. When we think about the brother Brazilian Python community, we don't see PyLadies as a different thing. Actually, PyLadies is an open door to the brother Python community. It's a space that would make people feel comfortable with the support that we provide. And well, you can be asking, you're not a PyLady, you're not a lady, and how can I help? And the first thing that comes to my mind is buy a t-shirt, help us financially, give a talk with the PyLadies t-shirt. It really shows the movement and how the community is engaged and want to help. with this, you help us financially. You help us like buy food and provide meals for the attendees of our events, and it really impacts lots of lives when you acquire a PyLadies t-shirt or a sticker or a pin. And I have a question for you all. Well, when you look back and we see all the work that has been done, we know that a lot has been done and a lot more is still to be done. And well, how do you see the future of our community in the next 10 years? Do you feel like the things that we have been doing are enough to keep the diversity, to keep the inclusion? What else should we do? What else do we have to do? And now to actually finish, I stay with this quote by Maya Angelou, and she says, I've learned that people will forget what you did. You said people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And this is a big truth. The fact that I'm here talking about PyLadies Brazil and talking about the experience that I have to be one of the people that takes care of PyLadies Brazil, it's because 6 years ago, there was a group of women who trusted me, who knew something in me that I didn't even know that was there. And well, this thing you just can't erase. The way people make you feel, it's truly unforgettable. And well, that's it. Thank you very much. If you have any doubts, questions, you can tweet to me, you can write me an email, and well, feel free to ask questions if you have any. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. Are there any questions? Anything that you want to ask? Great, you liked it. Really glad. Okay, so I see a question there. Coronavirus has affected communities all around the world. How has PyLadies Brazil responded? Well, I think that the local chapters, each local chapter, because we have lots of local chapters, but each local chapter is responding in a different way. We have some chapters that have been doing lives on YouTube, on Instagram, and there are some other groups that the ladies are feeling like reclusive and they are talking in their private groups, but they are not doing, for example, a tutorial or something like that, but they keep the bond because they have these internal groups in which they can communicate to one another, and then they can talk about the hard times they are having and share tips on how to organize your time during quarantine and these kind of things. So each group has a different perspective on how to deal with the pandemic. But well, with the pandemic, we had Papo Entre PyLadies started. So this was like a national event. So we meet every Thursday night, 8 p.m. to learn more about a different chapter. So I think that was a way that PyLadies Brazil responded to the fact that we cannot be together physically, but every Thursday with Papo Entre PyLadies, we have this get together and it's awesome. Well, if there aren't any more questions, well, I'll be here. And feel free to send me an email, send me a DM, find me on Twitter, feel free. And I'm really thankful. Again, thank you organizers, and thanks everyone who is here listening to this story. It was a pleasure it is always a pleasure to talk about PyLadies and for the world to know the work that has been done, especially here in Brazil. So I'm really thankful for the opportunity. Thank you very much, organizers, and thank you all for being here. Hi, Abigail. So good to have other PyLadies here too. I'm inspired as well, Abigail, for everything that every one of us do for the community, really. When we look to different chapters, not even here in Brazil, but when we look to the chapters that are like scattered all around the world, each one has its history and it's so particular. And all the work that we all do, it's an inspiration. It's an inspiration, really. How do we intend to activate the inactive chapters? Well, we are making, like, as I said, a task force to see which chapters are inactive and which are actives, especially because here in Brazil, it's such a huge country, and there are some chapters that are active, but they are not registered as an official PyLadies chapter. So we have been working on that as well, like trying to take these women who are already doing an awesome work to get in touch with PyLadies Global in order to have like an official email and all these kind of things. And well, we tweet a lot and we are all over the internet. So when a person knows about PyLadies Brazil, they can, like, when they talk to us on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, and we try to tell them how to create a chapter if there is a place that it doesn't have. But about activating inactive chapters, it really happens when these people from the same city of this chapter that is inactive, they reach us out, and then well, we can help them to get the chapter active again. But the chapters that are inactive, they get activated when another girl that lives in the same area shows some interest. I don't know if I answered your question, Melinda. Again, thank you all for being here. I'm going to organize my things now to watch Lorena's keynote. Thank you very, very much.